All right, guys. I just want to thank you guys and welcome to His Advocates Weekly Q&A. Um, I made this background, also the video cover for this week's video. I hope you like and appreciate that guy. Super good looking guy right there. One of our founding fathers, modern day founding fathers, Kelby Smith. He's a really neat guy, really loves his country. And I just thought that was funny what AI can do nowadays. Crazy, huh? Anyway, good afternoon. It's Monday. We made it through a long weekend. I worked last night till like nearly 2 in the morning. Been updating his Advocates TV with all the VIP stuff, bunch of videos. We're just going to be posting a lot of content to there, and we're bringing on a staff. And I've been working on this hard for in the private for a long time. It's a TV network that you can watch on your phone. Just download our app, His Advocates TV. You can also watch it on your TV itself. We're on Roku, Amazon, Android, Apple, Samsung, LG, and a few other small ones. We're working on getting on some bigger ones, some more cable networks, and just trying to expand the information out. So as you talk to people about who we are, make sure you pull out their phone and you have them download it and start watching the living and the private stuff. Secondly, our book, it's available for hard copy on Amazon for $17.76. You can buy 150 for $150. You can buy 50 hard copies, um, physical copies. I mean, they're soft paperbacks. A lot of people are doing that from an assembly standpoint, from a group information standpoint. They're reading through it like a group. They're finding and they're vetting the cases that we put in there to make sure they're real. It's kind of cool. Um, but lastly, we just made it available for free. So anybody that wants to download and read our book can do it for free. And I just texted it to you guys. There was three links. By the way, if you want to get noticed on the shows, you just text the word freedom to 855-452-0499. 855-452-0499. Text the word freedom. I just put it into the comments. I'm going to also put it into the comments for the live stream here. Most people are already doing that, and they they don't have a need. But new people that are trying to get noticed on when we're doing these Q&As or when we're doing anything for his advocates, if you do that, you'll get text notifications and everybody can respond. So accordingly, and that way they can be on time or they can, come to an event like this and watch and get live questions answered. Um, I have been working a lot trying to um, get ready for a major marketing push. And part of that is the free copy of the book. We're working through creating several different funnel systems, and we're using some pretty good teachers on the product and how to do it properly. And it's exciting because we want people to be free, and so we're going to give them the book for free and try to get them to understand the why. And the why is that none of our founders, these guys right here, were United States citizens. And that's just a big pill to swallow. Speaking to a guy today for the better part of an hour, explaining to him the difference of unincorporated versus incorporated, trust versus UBT versus association versus um, foundation, and then the public side, the humanitarian foundation, 501(c)(3) on the public side, and the different types of registered trusts that are out there. And I was explaining, and I'm going to do it a little bit today for you because that's one of the questions that we have. Um, it's super important that you guys understand public and private, understand why we have what we have and what these founders gave us and what the U.S. citizen is. And once you get that and start to understand the why, you don't have to file a return for an unincorporated business trust or a private unregistered trust or a PMA or a private foundation. And then the layers of Kevlar that you may have in that. And when I say layers of Kevlar, I always talk in levels of protection. Like if you had a 1 out of 5 in protection for an entity that would not have to file a return, you'd feel like you were at risk a little bit. Even though you got some level of protection on there. But if you're wearing a Kevlar vest that can take a 50 cal round, um, it'd be a 5 out of 5. And so 50 cal is pretty much one of the biggest rounds that they make for a handgun for sure. And for a rifle, the rifles rounds are generally this long. They can shoot a long way and kill targets way far away, and they can come with explosive bullets and all kinds of crazy war style things. But there are vests out there that can stop a 50 cal. And so when I say a level 5 Kevlar vest, and give that equation to like a foundation, I'm telling you, there's no IRS agent, there's no federal agent, there's no uh prosecuting agent. I mean, anybody can file a prosecution against anybody, but I'm telling you, they cannot take one of our foundations and require that you file a tax return on it. They can't take it and require that you give information on it. They can play games. They can act like they have authority over it. Um, they can make names that are synonymous and tell you that they do rule over it and that you're a party to that. And they can like the word person, individuals and persons are all that the federal government and state governments have authority over, and that you're not the same thing as a person. And it literally is that. And then they say, well, they've broken down natural persons through or artificial persons, and they try to define that like as if you can be a natural person instead of just saying man or woman. And I kind of wonder, like why are they making such a big deal about defining women these days? And why is that on such the forefront of people's minds? And why do all the left, uh, anyway, I'm not even going to go there right now. I mean, I could. I watch a lot of content on it because it's funny, but I don't want to go there right now. And I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings because there are some people that need help and that believe that narrative that they are a woman. In fact, they were born a man. And I don't know if it's necessarily, sometimes it's a perversion. There's a lot of videos out there, and I'm off track, but I want to touch base on this. A lot of videos out there with guys, full grown old men wearing bras, walking into a ladies' room so they can stare at women undressing and changing. And that's just straight perversion. And I don't agree with any man whatsoever, biological, with a penis, excuse me, going into a woman's or a child's or restroom or locker room or. I don't think that that privilege should be to any man. As a matter of fact, it's gotten to this point where um, I want to talk about something that is a shoe off on this, but you watch the last 4 or 5 years and how much changed in that four years under Biden, and you watch what's happened in 1 year under Trump, and what has transpired legally, lawfully, color of law, Supreme Court orders, and different things. I want you guys to understand that I think there's an ushering in of this guy who has been labeled the Prince of Peace by the Jewish nation, who's been given all kinds of classification as their main king, their dude, their ruler, um, not just for over Israel, but over Saudi Arabia and over many countries, and how this whole thing and push and promotion, going to even the Bible, and it says he will be blasphemous, prideful, and there's all these words for that guy. And I'm telling you, you need to keep your eye on Donald Trump. I'm just saying, I get it. You think that that's our hope. You think that that's it. There are reasons why I say that, and this is not the meeting for that, but keep your eyes on Donald Trump and understand that I believe you're getting played. Now, I, from the very beginning, was grateful to see him get into office. And I know many pastors are standing with him, behind him, and for him and promoting him. And I think personally, they are completely out of their mind. They don't do the research, they don't do enough digging, they don't even understand the style and structure of which a church should be truly organized under God, not under man. And I can go on and on and on, but we need to really, all of us need to keep our eyes on that. Um, and also what is happening right now. And there is so much going on right now. I want you to know there's a reason for all the smoke and mirrors. And every time you see a bomb go off, every time you see a war start, every time we are having a pandemic start, every time there is a reason for all of these actions and reactions. And it's unfortunate for us because you're going to slowly watch the decay, in my opinion, of the power of the United States of America. I get it. Remember something, and I'm going to explain something to you so that you understand this, and it's easily vettable. Okay. This isn't me just expressing an opinion and you trying to vet it online and not being able to figure it out. The United States is in a bankruptcy, HJR 192. The federal and state judges, mainly the federal judges, are all trustees of the bankruptcy. The element of the people who were the beneficial interest of the gains of the corporation of their respective states through their CAFR accounts were benefiting pre-1933 with payments annualized until the bankruptcy and until the United States Depression hit, stock market crash in 1929. So when you are trying to balance the budget and you're trying to bring about a fairness and equality, what they're basically doing is depreciating the asset value of the United States dollar, while at the same time creating these tariffs and creating these constructs and social agreements with foreign nations that do owe us and that we've loaned money to. And what's happening right now, and I know that this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but every single person has an equivalent title registered at the Securities and Exchange Commission, known as their birth certificate, in the entire world. For example, the Republic of Australia sounds like a foreign country, sounds like on the other side of the world, registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission, and their collateral for the money given is the birth certificates. The world order structure has been in play a long time. It's not just new. Pieces are being added. The final piece right now, one of the final pieces, is a global monetary system able to be monitored, transactions traced and followed, and to where they're going to put the entirety of the world on a social credit score system like China within the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, even in the United States of America. Trump doing what he's doing, he's the CEO of a company at best, period. The United States is a federal corporation, Title 28, subsection 3002, with exclusive jurisdiction in the District of Columbia. The United States of America is separate, although by color of law is being ran by the United States Corporation. The United States of America is 50 consolidated states, people governed under God directly by themselves, people in the Republic, these people right here. they gave up their rights to come under a structure of employment with the United States, taking a job as an employee of the United States, taking a job called driver Social Security Administration, which is the employee ID number, and it can go on and on and on with all the jobs that they get, concealed weapons, a voter, driver, all these things. So we have to consider that when you understand the structure of the company and you understand the fact that we are in a bankruptcy, the Congressional Budget Office, listen to me, guys, has already said there is no way that the debt is recoverable. The amount of money coming in far exceeds the amount of interest minimum payments by the Federal Reserve in the bankruptcy. So there could be a plan to take us out of all this. There could be. There could be a massive declaration and move. The truth could be released. They could show all this stuff and they could have the people vote for what the people want, and the military could come behind it all and support a leader in getting that dialed in. But the moves that are being made are going to the contrary. The moves that are being made are promulgating the same situation that we have had for the last 150 years, except now we're getting into vaccines and other things that people really don't know what they stand for or what the purpose exactly was, or I can go on and on. The bottom line for us when we are looking at this structure of this nation, the bottom line, if the president was on our side, the exposure of the fact that it was a corporation, that it was in bankruptcy, and those things to which that the nation, I mean, trust me, he's had to have been vetted on it. I know we, as the Republic people, have been in contact or trying to make contact, and I, without seeing it firsthand, I'm not going to say unequivocally, but we've been trying to make contact to help people to understand the difference of the corporation versus the United States of America, who our founders represented before that. So President Trump was at all trying to flip this nation back into the control of the people. Number one, people like um who was it? Who was it that just he was so anti-vaccine, so anti this, so anti that. Now he wants a universal vaccine that promotes and or helps the natural immunity system get boosted. It blows my mind. The Kennedy guy, whatever his name is, I'm blanking on his name. Um, it blows my mind that we are here watching these guys play us like this. That guy, he was trying to go down the road of freedom with people on vaccines and different things on their health. It came out, they exposed him in an affair. I don't know if you remember this, about a year and a half ago, the Kennedy guy, um, Maha guy, Make America Healthy Again guy, the guy that has a cracky voice. Somebody tell me his name. He basically um is was shown to be having an affair all weekend long on the news. Next thing you know, cut off on Monday, and then he had a black eye. Um, and that kind of blows my mind because he capitulated, and after that, and now he's starting to talk about a immune system boosting vaccine. Blows my mind. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Um, so when I look at what's happening in the world and I look at, the fact that the corporation is in bankruptcy and there's no steps by anybody to deny that, what's happening is the element of all this capital that's being saved by all these contracts being done by foreign countries, the banks are bleeding these foreign nations by bringing in all these trillions of dollars, and it's not going to the bottom line of the American people. It's going to the bottom line of the bankruptcy that is without a doubt incurable, and where they are now in a going after the assets of the corporation because it's beyond the 70-year renewal. And so they created Homeland Security in 2002, 70 years later after the initial bankruptcy. Homeland Security is over the United States of America and over the president. Now, I know that the color of law is different, and whoever's running whatever he wants and who's in control of the media and who has the perception of being in control of the military is the one that's in power. And we all know that. It might not be the way that the, exact structure of things as presented, but I got to tell you something. President Trump is in a lot more power of things in this world than you will ever imagine. I don't know if you watched him, how he plays ball out there. He is putting himself in the centerpiece of everything, and everybody's calling him basically their messiah, especially in Iran right now. They're calling Trump their messiah equivalent. It blows my mind. So we just got to be a little bit careful about that, whatever that's doing. Trump can't save America. He's the president of a corporation. Corporation's in a defaulted bankruptcy. They are coming to collect the debt. Trump has to fulfill as his obligation and duty and job as president of the company. He has a duty to fulfill the debt of the creditor within the corporation. Make America Great Again could be a Ponzi scheme for all you know. Make America Great Again, MAGA is the highest level priest in the satanic cult, satanic religion, whatever you want to call it. So when you're looking at why they use these terms and why these things are what they are, make America great again, you know, we don't know why. I personally see things happen. I get excited like you guys do, and I see the balls that are being hit, and I watch the responses. Everything that we're watching is a play, all the way down to Iran. Listen, guys, General Wesley Clark, over 25 years ago in the Pentagon, received a memo. They were going to go attack these 7 countries in a period of 10 years. He listed them out. He's on YouTube listing them out. Iran is the last one that we haven't taken over yet, that we haven't reinstituted our belief system in their system and structure. And now we're doing it. I think it's going to be a lot harder than people think. I hope they get it accomplished, to be honest with you, because I don't like a regime that forces a religion upon people. But who are we to be over there? And why are we working exactly in defense of nations at a whim and at a call without congressional approval? Those are the laws of our country. When you go to war, there's certain procedures that you have to follow. You can't just hear from another country like Israel, and whether you like them or not like them, it doesn't matter. You can't just hear from them and say, if you don't attack them, we will. And then you go and attack them. That's not the way the war is created in our land. And so we are obviously not under the Constitution or the protections of the Constitution. There are a people, a class of people that are, but this is a corporation and they are not. They do not have to be. And it's only because truly we haven't vetted and or stood fully all 50 states, enough people in each state, the Republic for the United States of America. And hopefully that's one day going to come. But it also takes people that are going to walk into that structure of um you know and let's talk about the republic just for a sec. This is really important. What is republic? The opportunity and nothing more to be self-governed. So if you have a republic, you have to look at yourself only, not whether there's an overseeing body. It's a lawful system for this nation. So if I'm in republic, it's not because somebody gave it to me. It's because I am operating in republic without contract or adhesion, trusts, drivers, social, voters, employment, USPS, voters, gun, all these adhesion trusts that give me a subclass citizenship, lowercase c citizenship. And it's true. You look at the original Constitution and it talks about citizen as in all caps. Then you look at it in the 14th Amendment, it's a possession of the United States with a lowercase. So in the initial, when it's dealing with the free men and women that were under God directly, state citizens, and they tried to institute this federal citizen under the 14th Amendment to give freedom to black people. It was more or less to slave all of America, not to just free the black people. Now, I I get it. There's a lot of disagreement on that, but there is something that you cannot disagree with, and that's I mean, you can disagree with it, but the Supreme Court of the United States of America, we put it in this book over and over and over, agrees with the fact that there is multiple citizenships on this land, a state citizen and a United States citizen. So when the Supreme Court says that, it's not like I'm coming to you right now and I'm not trying to placate to an idea. I'm talking to you about the founding structure of what these guys put together. I'm talking to you about what this nation has and what the Supreme Court to this day validates as active law today. I'm talking to you about a fact that we can step away from U.S. corporate surety back under republic, but it's only our personal conviction and decision that allow that to happen. We don't need to wait on a republic body to ignite up. We need that republic body to help us with our self-governance, to control a military, to help us with the currency elements, to be bound under the Constitution, to protect our God-given unalienable rights. To be in republic is a personal decision here in America. To be in republic is not something you're waiting on a body of people to figure out. To be in republic is not something you're waiting on the president of the United States to hopefully determine that they are reinstituting the republic. Because even if the president of the United States of America reinstituted the republic, the Supreme Court says it doesn't take away from your right to self-contract, your right to be a lesser than, your right to be a, it's going to sound really ugly. Look, we have the ability to be anything we want in this nation. Some people choose to be a whore. Some people choose to be whatever. You have a right to be golden under God, free of sin under God. You have a right to be a free state citizen, an American directly under God, or you have a right to contract away your freedom and put that bond servant earring in your ear to be a slave to a corporation for a perceived benefit, which is what they did. See, back in 29, they bled in America for about 4 years pretty hard. And those people got a new agreement that they can go and sign up for the Social Security Administration and get a guaranteed job compensation and pension for life by dedicating a few years towards working with the United States directly. But then that turned into something different than working for the United States directly. Everybody, however, still kept the employment agreement, the employment ID number, which is proof that you're holding an office called U.S. citizen for the United States. You have that right to be an employee, which is bound under statute, code, and ordinance. That's your God-given unalienable right. And President Trump can't take that from you by executing an executive order saying all people are free. It's not possible. Your rights are unalienable from God. And your right to be a slave is as unalienable as your right to be free under God. If you want to be in the mire, you're more than welcome to be in the mire. If you want to be a slave, you're more than welcome to be a slave because that is your God-given unalienable right. My point I'm trying to make with you guys, hold on one sec. I got a guy that's here right now. And Sorry, guys.
Hello?
Sorry. That was my wife. Had to have her do something. So it's super important that we get this wrapped around our mind, how the structure of things are. So no matter how famous Trump is, no matter how beautiful he is, no matter how holy or unholy he is, no matter how much of a good guy he is or a bad guy, the Christ representation or the Antichrist doesn't matter. His job is president of a defunct corporation. When are you going to get your minds wrapped around that? One that is in receivership. That means they're selling the assets off. They're categorizing the people and trying to claim them as assets. Yes, people that have had the mRNA shot are claimed as an asset of those companies that are the holders of the debt for this nation. Think about this for a second, guys. Get your mind wrapped around what I'm saying. It's no BS. Trump cannot save this nation, and he will not. You will see levels of success, but it has no bearing on your ability to be free as a man or woman in the private. There will be some degrees of things that feel like freedom for periods of time, but your ultimate freedom lies in your status and your obedience to coming out of that structural system. Trust me when I say this. It's a command from our Father. And no, I don't believe in the narratives of these things that are being taught by churches, taught by man. I think this is the first time ever the military has said they're getting ready for Jesus's return. Come on. Are you talking about an operation that is based in Antarctica that can speak into the minds of people, that can project holograms all over the world? Those operations that will make it look like Jesus is in the sky, and you're going to hear directly into your mind through these technologies that they're going to introduce in these coming years, showing us these false things, pretending to be a rapture, pretending to be whatever their narrative wants. And people are going to stand there and go, oh, and they're not going to remember any of this. And then they're going to feel like they're a part of something, and God's gonna not God, but their God, that whatever that thing is up in the sky that's looking exactly like Jesus or exactly like Muhammad or whatever it is. I'm serious. This is where it gets a little nerve-wracking because they have these powers, military ran, and they will use them over the people. Why is the military talking about the return of Jesus? When have they ever even acknowledged him as God? As far as I know, the military is allowing for transgenders to do whatever they want. The military allows for high level Satanists to run high level positions in the military. That's the military that I know. Yes, the toughest military in the world that has technologies that no other military in this world has. Proven by us going into a base of a foreign country, and not one of our men died, and hundreds of their men did and were incapacitated, walked right into the room of where that president was and pulled him out by his little ear and said, "Come on, big boy, let's go." And under the color of drug trafficking, yet we know that the CIA is the largest drug trafficker in the world. Hello? We know that these operations of what they're doing through Epstein and Epstein Island are really for Mossad and for the CIA, and they're disgusting and they're evil and they're satanic. Is that our government? Yes. Yes. It's the people masquerading as the ones of authority over you. But yet there's this one blonde guy, real big dude, eats McDonald's every day. Blasphemous, prideful, arrogant, boastful. Yeah, that guy. You all know who I'm talking about. I wish I can do an impression of him right now, but I can't. I've never practiced that. And being touted as king of the world, no authority over the republic. He has a perceived authority, but no authority over the republic. Who? The people. Their only job is to be bound by the Constitution and to uphold our God-given unalienable rights by leaving us alone. That's really it. So by being in republic, it's something you're choosing now. It's not something you're choosing a body of people over you to have handled for you, because it's not possible. Do you think these men right here worked their butts off for your freedoms? No, they did it for their own posterity. It says it right there in the Declaration. You want to know who's a part of that declaration? Whoever signs it. It's law. It's a trust indenture that's formed into the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution upholding our free people's God-given unalienable rights. But no, Trump, the entire organization, the entire system, the whole military, everybody really is there to support the bankruptcy and the creditors, because that is their job. That's why it's been decompartmentalized, or compartmentalized, not compartmentalized. That's why their left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing in many different structures of the federal government, especially in the military. We are in for a ride, but I want to be free on this ride. And I want to know that I have secured every possible position for my freedom, my family's freedom, my home's freedom. And when we talk about structures, like why they're able to do what they're doing with eminent domain, taking your land at will, look at your deed. Anybody can take that. Belongs to them. Of course they can take it. That's all been done in the last 50 years. The deed styles have changed. The styles of vesting have changed. The style to which who really owns it, you think it's you and your name or your company name, all of which you don't have control, rights, or ownership of. They own. They've done it that way so that you can have a color of law feeling of ownership, because you can own land by recording a proper deed here in this nation. They wouldn't colorize the transaction this much, change this much investing, the style of vesting, try to trick you and making you think you're in control and ownership of your name, try all of these things, like not even have you accept the deed unless all of those really were important, like the vesting, the style, the way you hold title. All those things are important. It's also important that you get rid of this U.S. corporate surety BS that you're holding on to, and tell everyone in your family to do the same and as fast as they can. And that's why we're giving this book away right here. This book is free. All you got to do is go to hisadvocates.org. If you want to look on your link, I sent two texts out today. The first one had a mistake on it. The second one is proper. There is a link that you can forward to your family and friends that they can go and look at this book for free. No charge. They can even download a PDF copy. Super important. That's telling you we care. We're not just trying to figure this out. We want to free the world. And it's only going to be their belief system and what the Supreme Court says that will allow for that to happen. We're not violating any laws. We're not doing a sovereign citizen thing, burning a driver's license up in the mountains, growing our hair long, and having a hippie and pot smoking celebration. That's not the nature of the American here in the United States of America. And I want to change that perception of what sovereignty is and what a sovereign citizen is and isn't. I'm not a sovereign citizen. You might consider me a sovereign under the law. You know, the law is very clear. And if I'm not contracted to a corporation and I haven't waived any of my God-given unalienable rights, and I've alleged myself to the people to which I was born around, known as California, I can be a state of the Union citizen, which is literally a people directly under the Elohim. Read the Declaration. A state citizen is literally a child directly under God with no lawful or color of law interference between us and God. Meaning we are not giving men authority over us. We are only taking our authority from God. And I know people will turn to Romans 13 and completely misconstrue what that means for America. And I would love to do a whole eulogy on the death nature of Romans 13 so we can put down that forever and get a clear understanding of what that means for America, because we need to turn that corner. America, you can be free, you can be a slave. You can be directly under God, you can be directly under the devil. You can show allegiance to God, you can show allegiance to the devil. I have yet to see the corporation represent God or show allegiance to God. So why in God's good name is the corporation known as the United States talking about the coming of Jesus Christ right now? Did you hear about this? Okay. Don't look over there and say, wow, look at that. Don't look over there and say, wow, look at that. Don't think a bunch of people are disappeared now and you're still here, and lose faith. Don't believe any of that narrative. You stay focused on your walk with God. You stay tight with God and understand that we have been ripped off and lied to. It's okay. And that the full picture will come about very soon. And I think that we win in the end. I don't think I know. And so watching how this plays out, I want to stay as tight as I can with no contracts to any man. I don't want to be the surety or the collateral for anything. So please, for the love of God, make sure everybody goes to hisadvocates.org and pick up your free book. Simple. Thank you for listening. I am going to answer questions now. This one is from Ariel. Ariel, first, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a His Advocates member for the length of time that you have been. Ariel, I fought, not going to tell you your last name. I fought this woman to listen to me about her finances, where she lives, all these things. She did. She came back and she thanked me profusely because she took a big chunk and invested it in what I told her to, and it's done an amazing return for her. So I'm excited for her. Do I need to create a land trust now so I'm not subject to FinCEN reporting requirements and transferring a property to a foundation? Would the land trust have the grantor as the foundation or me individually? I'm considering purchasing a second property with cash, and I need to know if the land trust would be the purchaser instead of purchasing it personally. We do land trusts. The style to which a land trust needs to be done is very important. I personally would suggest that you do a second foundation instead of a land trust. The land trust means nothing. Ariel, listen to me. The land trust means nothing in comparison to having your deed structured properly, to where you have not joint tenants where you have fee simple absolute for your vesting, buy gold, buy hand, grantor to a foundation. Foundation is tax exempt. There's all kinds of realms you can go with within that area. And you describe land because there's a lot of people selling land trusts, but they're not teaching people the deed, the execution agreement. They're teaching people how to create a trust to which they hold title in, but the title, if it's a joint tenant, means nothing, right? The title of it, if it's not meets and bounds, which is actually the description of the land, and you're holding it in a legal description, which is heir. Listen to me, guys. This is so important. And I think I'm the only guy in this nation right now speaking this. And yeah, I'm a broker and I've done thousands of loan transactions, understand title better than most attorneys. So I'm speaking from an expert standpoint, reviewing titles for my entire adult life. So stop placating to any other system or structure and just hear me out and do your own due diligence on this. Research what I'm saying, validate and verify everything. It's important for you. Having a land trust, Ariel, is not as important as the deed, the style of the deed. Yeah, land trust can be important, but if it's a registered land trust, and I haven't reviewed the land trust, revocable, irrevocable, I don't know anything about the land trust. But if you were to do a foundation with a deed, and to answer your question on the FinCEN, the FinCEN is for individuals and corporations, period. So who's going to control the FinCEN requirements is title. So there's the argument there whether that reporting, which we don't need to necessarily understand what the FinCEN reporting requirements are even going to be at this time. And I haven't even had a need to investigate this because it's not that big of a need. If I run a date down title pool on a home with title, I don't necessarily need to insure a transaction to facilitate a transaction at a county recorder's. Meaning, go up to XYZ. I can use realtors, whatever. We can close out on a transaction, my style deed, foundation purchase, no title requirement. Why? Because I'm the lender. It's my money. Now, if you're going to go get another lender, they're going to require title. That's who they are. That's what they want. They want to ensure the transaction. Do you know out of thousands and thousands and thousands of loans that I've seen over my life, do you know how many titles I've seen utilized from an insurance policy standpoint? Whom don't it? Zero. Why is this important? Because you can do a transaction in the private, do a proper deed, put it in the foundation, record it in the county recorder, date down title pool just to see what's on title the day before, then record it. You're done. You're the lender. It's up to you. And as the lender, there is no FinCEN requirement because you're excluding title from the transaction. Boom. So we're going to understand the FinCEN requirements and figure that all out. People do need to sometimes get loans, but understand if you're getting a loan, you're not the owner, really, truly. You are going to be doing whatever kind of deed that the lender is asking you to do. Initially, you can change it after the fact, but the reality is what I'm saying. And there will be FinCEN requirements and reporting requirements and all that stuff. I'm really not sure what that means, and nor do I care as I'm private. I'm not public, and I just procured for you a way to do that transaction that you need, Ariel, 100% in the private. Next question. Um, would you be able to set up a land trust if I pay you to do so? Yes, not needed. You can do a secondary foundation. I think it's more important that you do that than you do the land trust. Um, hold on a second, guys. I need to make sure something's going on right now. You gotta forgive me. It is what it is. Let me get that turned off there. crazy. It's not happening yet. All right, guys. Oh, good. It is happening. Sorry. Um, in order to track and digitalize everything, I believe FinCEN, as of March 1st, has created a reporting requirement to transfer property to another entity. Maybe our foundations are not subject to this requirement. It's correct. Plus, if you're paying cash, there's no title requirements, which is no reporting requirement. It's private, it's not public. If you do not follow the requirements, there are financial penalties and more. Financial penalties for the purchaser that they have no jurisdiction over. Correct. And that might be an invoice, that might be any number of things that they have no jurisdiction. Remember, individuals and corporations, that's it. The strategy being recommended is the only exemption to the requirement uh, that is a property in your name goes into a land trust. You are the grantor. That is the only requirement for exemption. You establish the trust to make sure yourself as the beneficiary, you're now satisfied the requirement, setting up a land trust and appoint somebody else as the trustee. You cannot make yourself the trustee. Example would be to have a Wyoming LLC and use the LLC as a trustee. Hey, Ariel, I'm going to talk to you about all this stuff. But I just gave a rundown. I know you're not on live with us. If you are, shoot me a text. But the reality is none of that applies to a foundation. The grant deed is everything. If you're paying cash, you're taking yourself out of the element and requirement to have a title company handle the transaction. You can pay escrow to do it private. You can do what's called a date down title pool on the transaction that will bring, you will determine every single thing recorded on title up until that point where you pull the trigger, wire the money, and transfer. They give you a completed grant deed, notarized. Now you hold the deed, grantor, grantee, acceptance, proper deed in the foundation name. You can do a land trust if you will. No title policy requirement. Title is and will be changed at the county recorder, and you're done. Okay. The trigger is a non-foundation title company insurance policy promoted transaction. I guarantee people that are moving transactions between themselves and the private aren't going to face that. It's the trigger is going to be the title companies. Okay, next question. Have you been looking at your blogs, videos regarding VIP? Associates currently having common law trust in there is active with Associated Montana LLC for various assets. This trust can be easily added under a main foundation once coming under the living in the private paid process. I'm coming into a large payout for a smooth transaction into one of these LLCs under the trust quickly. However, at the same time, hoping for a smooth transaction under foundation before spring or summer. There was literally no question in there. Um, can this trust be easily added under a main foundation once coming under the living in a private? Okay, so there's a lot of times people are working with trusts, unincorporated private trusts that are either land trusts, whatever, that can work with an existing LLC where they structurally assign wages to themselves of 2% of the total take in from an LLC and then do the balance to the trust, avoiding a huge taxable environment or event. There's people with trusts and foundations that are tying into LLCs. If a foundation ties into an LLC as the sole member of the LLC, it makes the LLC a disregarded entity. Do what you want to do with that with the IRS code. It's pretty substantial. You may want to look it up. Or you can operate 100% through the foundation in the private. You can do structures of family trust where the foundation is the beneficial interest. The sole problem with trusts are not necessarily the structure of the trust because they can be very good, they can be very tight. The problem is at some point there's a beneficiary that's going to say, "Hey, I want my money." Instead of teaching the proper form of having everything go through a foundation where it stays in the foundation in perpetuity. And that way you teach your children's children and you keep the estates whole, and nobody comes out arguing for a liquid beneficial interest transaction at that time. So even if you do have a trust, I would say make the beneficial interest of the foundation, and then teach your family to live in that kind of a structure so that the pass through of a death event of those assets are not touched by probate court, not touched because you have to liquidate to pay capital gains, not touched for a whole lot of reasons. Teach the kids to operate the company, the foundation, on a ongoing basis, not letting them out. And you can even write the bylaws to fit accordingly. Kind of like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. And it's super, super important people get this down, because if you hold real land in the private as a foundation and you make it tax exempt, and um, meaning the assets of the home, meaning from a standpoint of capital gains tax exempt, from a standpoint of death tax exempt, because you put the home in a foundation name, you're going to be in a sweet position. So teach your children, don't tear that apart, what you spent your entire life putting together. Um, I'm not sure if I answered your question appropriately, but there is any situation that you can do. If you need a quick conversation, consider a consultation with us. As a VIP member, you can ask this question online, or you can re-ask it in a format that helps me to understand a little bit better. You're going to be accepting a large payout soon from something somewhere. I don't know how. If they can pay it directly into a foundation, that's a huge beneficial interest for you. Okay. You still probably are going to get a W-9, or a 1099, excuse me, from that entity showing that as being income. There's ways around that, especially in the LPP. Next question. How do I create a company under the foundation since I do not have to register? It's a service company, or can I create an LLC and donate 80% of the money? Either one. How do I create a company under the foundation? Foundation can own stock. Foundation could be a primary member in an LLC, which generally does not have stock. A foundation can be contracted to an LLC to be a partial majority member to any degree. There's all kinds of structures you can do. So it's really up to you what you want to do. The type of entity that you're doing is my first question. If it's a non-licensed entity where you don't need a license to hang on an LLC or S Corp or C Corp, I'll just say do a foundation only. My wife's driver's license is currently expired. The renewal appointment is March 18th, but she needs to know if she should do something differently when applying or signing. I always teach people sign non-assumpsit in cursive. Non-assumpsit. NONASSUMPSIT. Non-assumpsit in cursive. Also, when are we going through the process of how we go about purchasing items like vehicles or large items that may constitute needing a loan? If you're going to need a loan, you're going to give your social and you're going to request to be a part of that system again. So needing a loan is a benefit of being a U.S. citizen. It's also something that can be done without giving up your rights as a state citizen. And we've gone over that a lot. We have a couple thousand questions posted all over the place to many different degrees on that answer. I would say if you're a VIP member and you're doing an application for a loan or something, I'd just say check the paperwork with us. We'll look it over and tell you what to do, how to sign, and all that stuff. Okay. Finally, I own a storage facility called blah, blah, blah. How will this work once I'm living in the private? I would make the primary member of that storage facility the foundation and look up the terms disregarded entity on the IRS website for the LLC. Do I have a PO box number? Several. What do you need? Yeah, several PO boxes. Regarding sales tax for purchases using the new foundation. Sales tax for purchases using the new foundation. Where I live in New York State, they have an application for exempt organization that there is. How would I fill this out? Okay, so side issue, once an organization has been deemed exempt, the state issues a sales tax exemption certificate that are given to vendors upon purchase so that tax owed when making purchases under the foundation. There's a mention of a Form 501c3 organizations, which I want UOB separate form, but not rejected because my foundation isn't a 501c3. Okay. I would just go apply as a tax exempt organization. Falls under 501A, 508c1A. I would, we have letters that we've put together that are not guaranteed, that work on the back end, that accelerate the elements of allowing for you to be um, able to make the argument as to why Supreme Court ruling and so forth, state statutes, state laws, specifically New York. We've done a few with New York already. Where you can go like Home Depot, if you will, or whatever, Amazon, if you will, to get the tax exemption status that you're hoping to get. Not everybody is able to pull this off. Um, a lot of people have, and I don't want to pay the 9-10% either. I haven't taken that time yet to really make those fights, those arguments, um, for everything that I'm paying right now, but we have on a few things and it works. But it requires the rejection and correspondence and standing them back on their heels with potential lawsuit language. What steps have clients taken to get money from their employer-sponsored 401ks and put the money into their foundations and buy silver or gold? I, there's not steps. It's, hey, this is Kelby. I want to cash out my 401k. I don't want you to take the 20% out. I will deal with that later on my tax returns. Wire the money. That's it. They're going to ask you to fill out a form, sign the form, sign it non-assumpsit. Understand that some people hold the 20%, some people let you take care of it, get the money, invest it, gold, silver, in some specific forms of crypto, XRP, XLM, XDC, so forth. Super important. Quick. Legal entity structure from the foundation contracting with the DoD, federal government. Blank has said that he did this with the Treasury and other departments, so it appears feasible. It is. But this was sold to me, which contributed to party why I decided to invest in the LPP. Okay, if the foundation indenture was historically needed additional verbiage to be tax exempt at the state level, what basic concepts needed to be added? Don't understand your question. You need to reword the question, please, Craig. Also partly why I'm investing in the LPP program as a state tax exemption that I am seeking. Remember that I have already been federally tax exempt as a W-2 just by redeeming lawful money. New York. Okay, so just to address that specifically once again, you have a contracting position at a high level governmental agency. The LPP does not support the VIP membership does. The LPP was not designed to take high level position people and guide them through step by step on how they can become tax exempt because they do not hire state citizens, they hire US citizens. The distinction is at that level that you are a US citizen and that you are not a state citizen, period. So to get them to pay the foundation directly and to keep any security clearances is a fine walkthrough. And for us to mitigate that information to you or to have that information can be done on a consultation basis. You can work with Abby directly, but it's not a necessarily, we don't have that many people that are in that position where they need to maintain a relationship with the DoD. I wouldn't think it would be that difficult to maintain the position with any agency through a foundation as a third party. It's not the foundation that's the issue. It's the issue of clearance and to take that clearance interview every 2 years and handle it properly and appropriately. But we can do that with a consultation. And we can do that in support through a VIP. If you have specific questions, we could do it right here too. But again, I never walked through a security clearance interview. I don't think I'd have a problem with it, but I've never walked through a security clearance interview personally, but I have helped a few people. And those were people that have written forwards in the book, right there, his advocates book that we promoted. What does it mean to be an American? And it was super important for us to get that classification dialed in for those people back in the day and keep them supported. But it became toxic after a while, and it becomes cumbersome because you're always fighting to keep that clearance because of many different issues. And they're getting better at seeing what you do, left hand, knowing what the right hand's doing, kind of a thing in the different departments within the federal government. So just consider that. A New York state tax applying for a nonprofit status, you don't apply for a nonprofit, you apply as a tax exempt. Different. Since his advocates is in California, his California-based clients had to do California-based application because they're tax exempt in California. We're tax exempt, period. We don't need to do an application with any state or any federal government or any federal authority to get a tax exempt status, period. Also apply for that sales tax exemption certificate in California. If I wanted to go to a store and get tax exemption, generally it's up to the store to determine that, not up to whether I have a state tax exemption. Because I can cite plenty of Supreme Court rulings showing we are a tax exempt church and that they could be lawfully implicated in a suit if they do not give us that tax exemption status without the state recognizing us as tax exempt. I don't care about the state. Um, if so, what are the main things that need to be specifically correct so that they are successfully approved? I would not be asking any state for a tax exemption status. They're going to ask you to contract more than likely. So if you want to go to California per se and get a copy of what that would look like, I would help walk you through, Craig, on how to get that dialed in. But the reality is you're exempt right now, and you need to force the play as exempt and use the law to support your play. And that's really what we're trying to do, next level stuff. It's not all things people are definitely, trying to get done right now, because their funds are getting tighter. The economies are shaking up and people don't want to pay the extra 10 points or whatever it is to product tax and or state tax. So I get it 100%. All right, that one's done. My husband is starting a Walmart reseller online business. Can we use our Revive Ranch SSM as the parent organizations instead of getting an LLC? Absolutely. Um, already did that one, did that one. Did that one. Okay, all these are duplicates. What is the difference, Gary, for you? What is the difference between a private unincorporated foundation set up as HISA, instructed, or private unincorporated nonprofit association? Is there really a difference? It sounds like both entities are private and don't have to report to the government. So I'm going to try to do a short answer, Gary, that makes sense to you, because I can go on this topic. When people talk about Kleenex, this is technically not a Kleenex, but it looks like one. We've kind of, when we ask somebody for a Kleenex, then they bring us this, we think we got a Kleenex. The reality is it's not a Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand name. It sits on its own, and we shouldn't be calling plant paper Kleenex. So when you say, are they all the same? No. But a PMA could be also a foundation because a foundation is a private membership association, but it's really not. But it is. And I'm not going to try to confuse you. The main difference is how did they make their documents? Number one, are they registered or unregistered? Number two, and how did they obtain the tax ID number three? We have a way to get tax ID numbers without socials. I don't know of anybody in the country doing that. I do know people are trying to figure out our way. They're trying to FOIA the IRS to determine how we got there tax ID numbers. And it's not a shared thing. It's something we've had to learn over tens of thousands of times trying to do certain things. But I don't know about that many, but a lot, hundreds. But we can get a tax ID number, 575 from the IRS, CP 575 from the IRS under a foundation name without a social. Um, and we just did for a Canadian couple. And we are going to go worldwide with this. And I think it's important to understand the implication. But to answer your question specifically, the docs are super important, even though nobody's ever going to see them, but they are important. What else is important? That they're not registered anywhere. So if a PMA is not registered, super important. But a PMA is kind of like um, a non-religious organization. So what's the difference of a non-religious organization and a religious one? Tax exemption under color of law and rights as a church to be tax exempt no matter what are absolute. PMAs generally don't have to pay taxes, but a PMA can't own property or land. Most counties don't allow for what's known as a PMA, private membership association, to own property in the county recorder. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And so, do you have a private membership association as a foundation? Yeah, you have private members that are all in association that make the foundation. But overall, you have a structure of control within that foundation that exerts rights and controls and is allowed to own property, own land, and is tax exempt and could literally take steps to remove it from the county tax rolls for property taxes. But it's tax exempt in all other aspects as well. These are all the steps that we are working on from a standpoint of the tax exemption stuff to help people create a line by line approach of what they can do to help themselves go completely private, land, homes, cars, all that stuff. Um, but there is a difference between a PMA and a foundation in ownership, what it can own. There is a difference in structure and security and Kevlar. Um, I have seen PMAs go into court cases, not sure quite how, more than likely because they took the members and sued them, and the members brought information in, and they probably didn't get judgment over the PMA, but did over the members associated to the PMA, kind of a thing. So, but I've not seen that on foundations. I've seen them make attempts to do things, but not have success. Anyway, thank you for Robert Kennedy's name. Hope that helps, Gary. Question on property taxes. A few of us in Colorado with foundations started houses deeded over to the foundations. We were wanting to prepare a letter to Ventura County to remove us from property taxes, and we are looking into some sort of template. Previous example of how to word the letter. Can you help us? We do not know where to start. Colorado forces you to fill out forms online at the state level in order to get the approved tax exemption. We do not. Mark, that is such a big topic to talk about. It's not so, and I have talked about it in multiple previous questions that I'm sure you can find and glean from. If I were you, I would how it's basically done, and we make no guarantees because you're requesting for an approval from a county recorder or official or somebody, and they will fight you to the point to where you are about to sue them, and then they cave or have a hearing and let you step on yourself or win the hearing. The goal is go get a hearing or go make a demand letter, and they're going to say you need to fill this out, and just say no, we are exempt, and give them everything they have in that letter on a document separate from that letter, because that document, if it has contracts within it, you want to consider that. Sometimes they don't, and it's okay to fill out that document and change it from a request on the top to a notice and demand. And so there's a few things that you want to do, and you want to notice and understand you're coming in for a fight. But my question to you is, Mark, how did you do the deed? And Did you do a deed acceptance? And is it fee simple? And is it with the foundation as the beneficial interest? Does it have meets and bounds? Are you a holder of land? Are you a holder of a legal description? The style of the deed, and just hear me out respectfully, the style of the deed is more important than you trying to get tax exemption just because you put the property in the name of a foundation. So get the style of the deed done, number one, and then work on the secondary portion of what you're trying to do, which is the exemption. And the exemption is going to be a fight. Get ready to fight. Um, and we're eventually going to have, we're going to come with templates and different things and stuff to consider for people if they're trying to pick up that fight. We don't have that all put together for people. We're just busy fulfilling LPPs right now, but we're getting there. Next question. I was at Florida DMV. I was able to change the address to the UPS store address, but I was told I could not opt out of Real ID. She said there's no mechanism to opt out. That's a lie. Can I do an admin process to get out of Real ID? Can HISA help me put the docs together? I don't know of how you can be forced into Real ID or the implication of what Real ID truly is. You may want to look that up and start investigating what Real ID options there are for Florida law, and just do that. Play that with ChatGPT for a little bit and let me know. Reach out, let me know what it's been said. But yeah, you can easily opt out by making a new agreement with the DMV pertaining to Real ID. And yeah, we could help. I mean, it's a pain from a standpoint of, individually figuring out, because the only thing that we're going to do is go find Supreme Court rulings that require or don't require for you to be under the Real ID Act. But the question is what is the Real ID Act truly, and is it that important for you not to be under it? Because I honestly, I haven't looked into it. I don't have a need to go for it. If somebody automatically is going to place me or my driver's license under the Real ID Act, I already know that how I've signed my license. I know what I've done paperwork wise with the DMV, so it really doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? It's been a month since we reached out to payroll manager about the WAB form 2 weeks ago. Legal was supposed to reach out to somebody for verification at this point. Can we just submit his W-4 form? No, just wait. What do I say if they push back on the W-4 because well, don't make a presumption. Let's just wait. We'll deal with it then, Belinda. We were praying for your mom. Thank you, Belinda. I really appreciate that. I do. My county recorded warranty deed for property gifted. Uh, oh, his version. Okay. For property gifted to your foundation, county records and property tax notices are in foundation name. Is that enough for it to be safe in the private, or is there more that I need to do? Terry, you have now done a real deed where you've accepted it and you are the true owner of the property through a foundation. There is no better way to be private than having an entity that is not suable to own land and to be able to be dispersed to your children's children. You've done a lot. You've done a lot. And congratulations, by the way. I completed LPP steps for SSA IRS letters April 2025 and active state recently. Congratulations, Anonymous. But haven't changed the W-4 employer issued W-2 for 2025. Where can I find LPP guidance resources about to file or not file for 2025 and how to sign tax forms? Just use your VIP membership to ask those questions, and we'll walk you through some options for you and to help. There's also been a ton of video responses I've done for people in the past. Guys, we're working on the going through all the questions that we've done and asked and answered, specifically HR, specifically land, is the two categories we're starting. IRS, which is associated to HR department, and the second one is land and deeds. And so we're going to be taking those and categorizing them and putting them into an opportunity for you to get training modules presented to you out of that so you can get quick answers and take appropriate action. BlackRock just blocked the withdrawal request of its customers in the billions. Told you. I saw that last night. What are your thoughts about how to navigate 6, 7 figure withdrawals from the foundation's bank account onto OTCs like Kraken, Caleb, and Brown? What are the hiccups did you come across when creating the crypto brokerage account? She's asking all of whatever crypto that I'm in holding of is on my own private wallets. I don't have these hiccups. I'm not worried about withdrawals. And that's the only way that we have been teaching since the beginning. I don't recommend being on Caleb and Brown or Kraken or Uphold or Coinbase until you're ready to sell. So I don't really have a suggestion for you. Um, I do understand that you and other people are really getting nervous, and you should. You really should. I think it's going to get to the point where they're going to tell people like us that have large amounts on hard wallets that it's illegal now to own those particular types of crypto. And we're going to tell them to go pound sand and why. And, bottom line is those things are coming. The crackdown's coming. They're trying to bleed it out. You know it. You know that whole BlackRock thing was a joke. It's hilarious. What hiccups did you come across when creating these crypto brokerage accounts? Just them saying, um, like Caleb and Brown, 50% get approved, 50% don't. And it's just the underwriter that you maybe go with. Kraken, same thing. It's just the underwriter. Um, the experiences when transferring large amounts of fiat from B of A to Kraken. There's no hiccups when wires are leaving banks. They don't like it. They are trying to freeze the debit card purchases on crypto. They're trying to freeze large cash withdrawals. They're trying to freeze wires. It's the whole KYC under the KYC BS, but the reality is it's once money leaves that system, it's never coming back. So those banks, when they are moving that money over into the crypto system, it's gone. And I need you guys to understand why the banks are having such a hanger because they didn't get on this ride in front of the ride quick enough. And there's a total global takeover right now, and we're in a prime position for this. Guys, go to the restroom. I just had a doorbell happen. I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right. Sorry about that, guys. It was a door. It was a doorbell. It was a real doorbell. There wasn't there's been a couple times where one time where I said I had a doorbell and I had to go to the bathroom. Now why am I telling you that? Why does that matter to you? Doesn't matter. Just you forget about that. Um, I am my parents' only survivor and they died suddenly without a will. Is there anything I can do? Using their death certificates to access my father's 401k balance using my foundation. Nope. Sarah, everything's got to go through probate unless you find a will. And then sometimes that won't be accepted. Sometimes it will. I know it's not what you wanted to hear. This is why we teach what we teach with foundations and structures and getting everything dialed in right now so that it can pass through without probate ever touching it or making a decision on how much is due to them. Next letter or next question. Working on the final notices, I have specific questions, ticket response said to ask here. Um, Letters provided have errors. They've been reviewed by like 20 people, so I'd be interested to find out what errors you're talking about. Is there someone that has to review its accuracy before use? We again, I don't know what letter you're talking about. So yeah, I don't have your name. I don't know what to even look up to tell you what to look up. But we have looked at these letters and had them reviewed, and they've been handed out to a lot of people. So I'd be interested if this is a new letter or something that was recently changed or something. I'm intrigued. So send an email to myself, Kelby at hisadvocates.org, since I don't have your name, and give me the name of the letter to look at and your email. Have it come from your email, or give me your email on the actual body of the email so I can look up your account, your LPP ticket, and discover what you're talking about. And I don't know why you'd be asked to ask me that question, because if there's definitely an error in there, it should be addressed, and you can address it as the PDF is not locked. So it's something you can address yourself and clean up. But I thank you for whatever you find. Just make the highlights and send it to me in an email, please. In the final notice, orders should regularly use nicknames be included with my full address names in order to arrest, detain. No, it's just whatever the all caps name is. That's the one they have authority over, and that's the one you're making a claim on. So don't worry about nicknames. Acceptance of oath, first sentence contains county respondent superior. Is that correct, or indeed intended to be respondent? No, it's correct. Ours is correct. Go look it up. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Yeah, go look that up in Black Saw. You'll see what I'm saying. I have no assets in my name. Can I operate a business through my foundation? Yes. A county regulated dog kennel. So you can, if it's county regulated, where you would need to get an approval as a license, you can do an LLC with the license through the county, and then you can make the foundation the sole member and discover the tax advance and advantages because of that. Next question. I'd like to know how to register a new or used car. It's possible to obtain the original MSO on a used car. Hey Scott, the I've answered this a lot, but this is a pretty quick answer, so I'll help you real quick. The What I would do to register a vehicle is just go down to the AAA, and you're filling it out. You're the seller. You have the title with you. The foundation is the buyer, and you're going to put the title into the foundation's name and then register the car through AAA. They're going to give you tags on the spot. It is possible to obtain a duplicate copy. The MSO duplicate needs to be addressed and looked at within Black's Law. It's just like having an original copy. But if you have a car that's registered in the county, the purpose of an MSO needs to be discovered. Like, what is your purpose of controlling an MSO on a car that is registered in the county? Because now there's two people holding lawful title to the vehicle. Do you still heavily recommend or require our foundations to have a website? I've never heavily recommended it. I have never lightly recommended it. People ask if it's something that should be done. It's cool. It's not necessary, but it's cool. If the bank asks us, do we have customers or donators? How do we answer that? Donation is a trademarked word. Change it when they ask that to, yeah, we have contributors. But what I tell people, like for his advocates, we're a self-supporting ministry, meaning we do things for our constituents, our members, and they pay us for services, and they go, oh, okay. because donation is one thing, contribution is another. By the way, anybody that has a foundation and has somebody that contributes to it, that's a deduction for them with the IRS. Question on property taxes. A few of us, okay, already answered that, Mark. Big deal, Mark. Posting it in several places. In the past video you've done, you mentioned 2 ways to handle traffic ticket violations. 3-day right of rescission. You got to do it within 3 days. You also can do a sign it non-assumpsit or under duress. And there are people that cancel the ticket. There are people that fight the ticket and win. If it were me, I'd just do a 3-day right of rescission. But I've gone here, listen, Scott, I've gone through and beat them in court and won in court. Like screwed them so hard they could not go forward on the ticket. You know what the judge did? Suspended my license and fined me $1,000. Never was told. I appeared specially, not generally. I pounded the ticket into the dirt, won, and what do they have control over? That belongs to them, the license. So what'd the judge do? Responded with $1,000 fine and a suspension until it's paid. Period. I got caught driving without a suspended. I didn't know I even had a suspended. I was never properly noticed. And I ended up having to go to court and saying, show me why my license was suspended originally. They went and said, this judge suspended. And I said, why? And I was able to get another judge to vacate the suspension and remove all of that. But the bottom line is they control things and I could never get my $1,000 back. So you either got to cancel it before you get to court, or you got to beat them in court using their method of the rules of procedure. Phone 1-800 tickets. That was for concert tickets. So Scott, just do a little bit of research on. There's tons of attorneys in each state that handle nothing but traffic tickets. Just go find one of those. Hey, I just want to say I got my freaking bank account up here in Massachusetts finally. Citizens Bank. Amen. I had to I had them read all of your paperwork and they were able to do it and I'm stoked. Boom. Mic drop moment. Love it. Thank you. Can you find I'll get your question, David. Don't worry. I'm just trying to hit all of them. It's been an hour and a half and they keep coming. Hold on. Yeah, I had yours up. I'll answer your question right now because you were in line. Um, and David, you're important. When recording a warranty deed to add the spouse, why do you add a spouse to the warranty deed? It's a foundation. The foundation owns it. It is exempt from real estate tax in Wisconsin, but the real estate tax form must be submitted to the state. Is it beneficial to call it an in-house transfer? Yes. Or does that type of transfer pertain to only companies and organizations? I would call it an in-house transfer, put it in the foundation name. I don't know if I'm answering your question right, because he started off with doing a warranty deed to add your spouse. So I don't ever hold a warranty deed in an all caps name, ever. Any kind of deed. I'm always going to put it in a foundation. And I'm always going to call it an in-house transfer to avoid the tax. If that's not specific enough for you, let me know and ask the question a little differently, Dave. Thanks. Do you write that somewhere on the form? Our state doesn't have a space on the electronic form for that. Most forms with the state, just ask the state, this is like a trust. We shouldn't be paying taxes on the transfer to an in-house family foundation or trust. And they're going to show you what you need to do in order to qualify for that. Next question. Where do I find information on tilting and registering a car titling? Is that the proper way to spell it? Sorry, it's just small writing from here. to and or registering a car in South Dakota. So you're gonna go to Bruce, and anybody that wants to title a vehicle in South Dakota, call my buddy Bruce. Tell him Kelby sent you. Um, his phone number is 888-494-4499. 888-494-4499. I'm putting it in the comments here for titling in SD and a mailbox. You need a mailbox. That's how you get to be a resident. And he could even show you how to get a state ID. All right, there you go. Wait, so the banks were PMAs not allowed to own land, but to the title company where foundations allowed to own land. Yes, PMAs cannot own land, according to most county recorders and attorneys and judges in those counties, but a foundation can. Where can I find information on title? Okay, that was asked and answered. Alex filed for my LLC EIN without my SS number. I received my IRS CP 575 back with the LLC for my EIN. They included my all caps name under the LLC name with sole member after my name. So do we need to correct this assumption by the IRS since I'm not the member of the foundation? Doesn't matter whatsoever, George. Let them put whatever they want on it. It's all in the application, and that's all that matters. Our foundation is in Tennessee. We went in person to file the act of state document. It was rejected because 10 does not allow allegiance claims. So, Sarah, we could file your act of state into the public at his advocates and create the documents that you need to secure your act of state in the public forever. And then you can use that as notice letters. And yes, they're being stubborn. Kelby, can you find a question on your email? David, that's the second time you made that request. You're clogging up the queue. I live with my girlfriend, but I own a rental that my daughter lives there and does not pay rent. Of course, it's your daughter. More likely a donation to pay expenses. How do I handle that property? How do I handle it? I don't understand the question. Like from a tax-based standpoint, I live with a girlfriend, but I own a rental that my daughter lives there and doesn't pay me rent. I don't know what your question is, brother. My LPP paperwork is referencing a new foundation mailbox. I have concurrent um process ongoing for discharge paperwork going with the New York State, where that paperwork is referencing my home address as Natural Man. Is there any conflicts possible where a vendor New York State could get confused when they're getting conflicting mailings? There's always confusion. The goal of receiving no mail in the all caps name is to remove jurisdiction implications to receive a charge instrument or a warrant over that property. In layman's terms, the reason why we do what we do in the LPP is just so that you are out of the jurisdiction of the United States. So we don't want to have a name receive personal mail at any address, any address. So you can send a letter to the New York State asking them to mail in care of the foundation name on a go forward basis. Say you're a traveler, you're a sojourner, and you need to have them mail this mailbox in care of the foundation that's dispersing the mail to you on a go forward basis. Does that help? Looking for other questions? I'm going to get ready to get off. Don't get me wrong. I'm working on the final notices. I have specific questions to ask her letters. Okay, I already answered that. Weren't you answered that? Okay. 27 questions here, probably 35, 40 questions today. Listen, guys, God bless you, man. I want to thank you for coming on again. Tell your family and friends, go to hisadvocates.org. They can grab this book. It's right on the home screen. And the only thing they have to do is obviously join for free and they get this book. Super important, and we want to help them out. We want to help you out. We want to make this world free, and this is probably the best book on the subject matter and that's ever been printed. We worked on it for 10 years in the making, and we've got very specific case sites and why you want to be a state citizen. Look at that guy right there. It's a good looking guy. He's actually a signer on the Declaration of Independence. He really is, just on today's version. God bless you guys. Have a great week. We will see you next Monday for the Q&A at 4 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy your weeks. And I will see you VIP members tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Enjoy your night. Okay. Bye.